Hello and welcome to the This Evening Show. I'm your host, Timmy Mellon. All of our guests bailed on us tonight. I was looking forward to talking to Daniel Radcliffe, but we happen to have a real live author in the audience with us tonight. Joe Nesbo is here. He's going to be talking to us about his latest book, Macbeth. Sound familiar? So let's give Joe Nesbo a big warm welcome to the show. Well, hey, Joe, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Timmy. I was looking forward to seeing Daniel Radcliffe too, but I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks for saving our bacon. So, you have written an interesting book. It's called Macbeth, right?
Yes, that is the name.
Hasn't that been used before?
Yes, many stories, yes.
So what's the deal?
Well, it is the same basic story as the Shakespeare's Macbeth. You see, a British publishing company, Hogarth Press, wanted to do a series of Shakespeare stories reimagined and retold in a modern setting, and they asked me to write an update of Macbeth.
Say, doesn't Hogarth sound something out of Harry Potter, like Hogwarts?
Ha. Yes, it does. Actually, they let me choose what Shakespeare story I wanted to rewrite. I'm glad they asked me early, because I'm sure Macbeth would have been taken. I like it because it is a short play, and that let me write a short and direct story that I could rebuild my own world around. Also, it happens to be my favorite Shakespeare play out of all of them. There are really no good guys in this story. All of the main characters in the story have really dark parts in their characters. That really appealed to me.
Interesting. You're right. Every main character is kind of evil. So how did you go about updating the story for a more modern time?
So the story revolves around a group of police officers. They're all competing to see who's going to be the head of the police department. So just like the original, we have a character named Macbeth, who is a decorative police officer. Early in the story, he busts a biker gang called the Norse Riders that was dealing narcotics. The new commissioner, Duncan, promotes Macbeth to the head of the organized crime unit. This causes Duff to become jealous. Macbeth's partner named Lady thinks that he could keep moving up the ladder at the police department if he can get rid of Duncan. Initially unable to murder an innocent person, Macbeth resorts to getting drugs from the local drug lord, Hakat. Sounding familiar?
Indeed it does. It seems that Shakespeare's stories are timeless. So where is this set? The original took place in Scotland, maybe a little bit in England. Where did you set your story?
So it takes place in a land much like Scotland in the 1970s. You see, Glasgow at the time was a very rough place. It was staggered by alcoholism, environmental hazards, high suicide rates, corruption, gang warfare, the loss of industrial jobs, and a significant rise in drug abuse. I did not want to say it was Glasgow exactly. So it is set in a fictional town of Fife. That seemed like a perfect place to set a story like Macbeth. It is a dark and dirty place with lots of ways to drag you down. The drug called brew is like the potions and spells that the witches use in the original play.
Very interesting. I am liking this modern take on a classic story. But you give us more of a look at the backstories of these characters, which was nice. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yes, I felt that having Macbeth grow up at least partially in an orphanage makes us feel a little more sorry for him. But he is still a mystery when it comes to who his family is, like in the original.
True.
Duff as well spent time at the same orphanage. When you know about the rough childhood these characters had, you might understand the violent actions that they commit.
That is fascinating. Great stuff. But we need to take a break right now and hear a message from our sponsor, Kabang Energy Drink.
Does the thought of studying for finals make you instantly sleepy? Does reading Shakespeare make you pass out? Do you wonder where you'll get the energy to do it all? Well, wonder no more. Have a Kabang. 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 Kabang.
And we're back. we're talking to author Joe Nesbo. We're talking to him about his modern retelling of the Shakespeare classic play Macbeth. So Joe, tell me more about your story. You told us about the drugs called brew. I like the connection between the original and your story, like a witch's potion and a brew. But why did you use drugs and gangs instead of witches and potions in the story?
Well, in the original story, Macbeth becomes consumed by paranoia. Once he takes the steps of killing in order to have more power, he starts to imagine everyone knows what he did. The witches mislead Macbeth to feed his paranoia. I felt like in today's world, that is what drugs do. They can make you paranoid to not see things the right way, misleading you into making bad decisions and actions. And when you think about it, the way the witches tend their bubbling cauldrons, you can see it similarly to someone in a shed deep in the woods making some crystal meth.
Very true. I never really thought of it that way. You mentioned Macbeth's partner or girlfriend called simply Lady. You gave her a pretty dark past like the others in the story. What can you tell me about her?
Yeah, in the original story, really don't know why she is the way she is. She just comes into the story being consumed with having power and pushing Macbeth to do bad deeds. Felt like for her to do what she did, kind of starting Macbeth down his dark path, that she needed to really have some tragedy in her background. So you see, she was abused by her father when she was very young. This drove lots of anger and guilt in her character that came out and desired to have power. In the end, she commits suicide because of this, like the original story, but I wanted to show the reader what her visions were. She keeps seeing babies because she killed her own baby because of her father, and that drives her to kill herself.
Wow, dark stuff. After diving into these tortured characters, do you have any hope left for humanity?
Well, sure. The genius of Shakespeare's stories was that he tapped into primal human urges that are the same today as they were when he wrote them. Of course, Macbeth is pretty bleak, but that was just one of his stories. He wrote romantic comedies, which are still used for source material today. In fact, if you want another good read, check out Vinegar Girl by Ann Tyler. She wrote that as a part of the Hogarth series. It was based on Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. Totally different vibe from Macbeth, but the story also still works today.
Funny you should mention that. I just got word that we have a new sponsor. And guess what? It's Hogarth Press, and they want to tell you more about this fantastic series of books.
Does trying to read Shakespeare make your head hurt? The stories are good because you've watched movies based on them and you've liked them. But you lose the story because the words are actually really weird. Well, Hogarth Publishing has the answer for you. We have gotten authors to rewrite many of Shakespeare's classics in a new and modern way. From Joe Nesbo's Macbeth to Edward St. Auburn's King Lear. Hogarth Publishing has these timeless stories written in modern language and set in today's world.
We're back talking to author Joe Nesbo. He's been telling us about his awesome book, Macbeth, that updates the classic story into a modern setting. But now, let's find out a little bit more about Joe himself. So Joe, where are you from?
I was born in Oslo, Norway in 1960. I'm currently 59 years old.
All right, you can do math. Did you always want to be an author when you were growing up?
Actually, I graduated from the Norwegian School of Economics and worked as an economist and a stockbroker. And before that, I was a football player, or soccer as you call it. I played for a club called Molde FK, and I was a striker until I tore my ligaments in my knee.
Holy cow, an economist, I guess you can do math, and a stockbroker? What else? Is there anything else that you do?
Well, after working as an economist and a stockbroker, I started working as an independent journalist. And by the mid-90s, I really started to like writing it more and more.
Goodness sakes. I guess it's better to ask what you don't do instead of what you do.
Good one. Well, I also sing and write songs, in a rock band, Die Der, and I like rock climbing.
Astounding. So besides Macbeth, what other books have you written?
Let's see. I've written about 15 books so far. Lost count. I started with a book in 1997 about a detective named Harry Hole.
Harry Hole? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are now 11 books about him. Another coming out this year called The Knife.
Okay. Any other books you want to mention?
I have a kids' book series about an inventor scientist called Dr. Proctor's Fart Powder.
What? You really like those crazy names, huh?
Keeps things fun, I guess.
I guess so. Well, anything else you want to tell us?
Pre-order my book, The Knife, whenever. No, but that's it. Thanks for letting me talk to your audience, though. It's been fun. I hope you really enjoyed it. Good night.
All right. Well, thanks again for jumping in and saving the show and telling us all about that dark, grim world of Macbeth that you wrote. And best of luck, Joe. Thanks and good night, everyone.